The Galactic Council building stood tall on the planet Kelsara Prime, its crystal towers reaching into the purple sky. Inside the main chamber, representatives from 43 different alien species gathered for their monthly meeting. The room buzzed with conversation as beings of all shapes and sizes discussed trade routes, border disputes, and political matters. At the center table sat the three most powerful leaders in the galaxy. High Archon Velkar of the Vorathian hierarchy was the first to speak. His blue-scaled skin reflected the lights as he raised his clawed hand. The next item on our agenda concerns the human species. They have again requested full membership status in the Council. Several alien representatives made sounds of dismissal. The Vorathians had ruled the galactic core for over 3,000 years. They saw themselves as the superior species, and they treated most other races as lesser beings. The humans were especially low on their list of respected species. Ambassador Angela Diaz sat in the back row, reserved for minor species. She wore her formal Earth diplomatic uniform and kept her face calm, though anger burned inside her. For 200 years, humanity had tried to gain equal status in the galaxy. For 200 years, they had been denied. The humans wished to discuss their tariff rates, Velkar continued. His voice carried contempt. They claim the current rates are unfair and request a reduction. The Kelzaran representative, a being made of crystalline structures, spoke next. The humans occupy only 12 colony worlds. They have minimal military power. Why should we grant them favorable treatment? Angela stood up. With respect, council members, humanity has followed every rule. We have paid every fee. We have honored every treaty. All we ask is fair treatment. Velkar turned his cold eyes toward her. Fair treatment is what we decided to be, human. Your species has nothing to offer the galactic community. You have no advanced technology. Your military consists of outdated vessels. You have no leverage to demand better terms. The Dravine Supremacy Ambassador nodded in agreement. The Dravine were warriors, massive and powerful. They respected only strength. Perhaps if your species had something valuable to trade, we would listen, but you bring nothing to the table. Angela felt her hands clench into fists at her sides. She wanted to speak, to argue, to make them see reason. But she knew it would do no good. The council had made up their minds long ago. Humans were too weak to matter. Very well, Velkar announced. The council votes on the human request. All in favor of maintaining current tariff rates? 38 hands, claws, and appendages rose into the air. Only 5 species voted with humanity. The decision was made. Earth would continue to pay triple the standard rate for all trade goods. This meeting is concluded, Velkar said. He didn't even look at Angela as he spoke. The humans may appeal again in 6 months, though I suspect the result will be the same. Angela left the council building and walked to her shuttle. Her security officer, Captain Brandon Cole, waited at the entrance. He was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes. How did it go, Ambassador? The same as always, Angela replied. Her voice was tired. They see us as insignificant. They think we'll never be strong enough to challenge them. Brandon smiled slightly. They're in for a surprise then. Angela looked at him. Has there been word from Admiral Bennett? Yes, ma'am. The message came through this morning. The Phantom is ready. Commander Morrison and his crew are standing by for your signal. For the first time in hours, Angela felt hope rise in her chest. Then it's time. Send the authorization code. Far away from Kelsara Prime, in the darkness of space beyond the galactic core, a ship floated silently. It looked nothing like the blocky industrial vessels the aliens used. The USS Phantom was sleek and smooth, its black hull absorbing light instead of reflecting it. Advanced technology hummed beneath its surface, technology the aliens didn't know existed. Commander Jake Morrison sat in the captain's chair on the bridge. He was a focused man in his early 40s, with dark hair starting to gray at the temples. He had spent 3 years training for this mission. Now the moment had finally arrived. Incoming message from Earth, Commander, said Lieutenant Nicole Fraser. She was the weapons officer, a young woman with red hair and quick reflexes. Authorization code confirmed. We have green light for Operation Revelation. Jake took a deep breath. All right, people. This is what we trained for. Mr. Torres, set course for Kelzara Prime. Maximum stealth protocols. Ryan Torres was the navigation officer. His fingers flew across his console as he plotted their route. Course laid in, sir. We'll pass through 3 different territorial zones to reach the target. Estimated travel time is 18 hours. Excellent. Engage stealth systems and proceed. The ship's lights dimmed as the advanced cloaking technology activated. The Phantom became invisible to every known form of detection. Radar couldn't see it. Heat sensors found nothing. Even visual observation would fail as the hull bent light around itself. The ship began to move, accelerating smoothly toward the heart of galactic civilization. Along the way, it would pass Varathian patrol ships, Kelzaran defense stations, and Dravine military outposts. None of them would know the Phantom was there. Lieutenant Commander Kevin Palmer, the executive officer, stood beside Jake's chair. Do you think they'll actually listen after we reveal ourselves? Jake considered the question. They'll have no choice. For 2 centuries, they've assumed humanity was weak because our visible fleet was outdated. They never considered that we might be building something in secret. 15 years is a long time to keep a project hidden, Kevin said. It had to be done right. If word had leaked too early, they would have prepared countermeasures. This way, we maintain complete surprise. Marcus Chen, the pilot, spoke up from his station. We're approaching the first checkpoint. Varathian patrol group ahead, 6 ships in standard formation. Everyone on the bridge tensed slightly. This was the first real test. If the Varathians detected them, the entire mission would fail. The USS Phantom moved through space like a shadow. For 16 hours, it had passed through the most heavily defended regions of the galaxy without being detected even once. Commander Jake Morrison watched the main view screen as they approached their final destination. The planet Kelzara Prime glowed blue and green ahead of them, surrounded by a network of orbital defenses that would make any normal captain nervous. Report, Jake said quietly. Ryan Torres checked his navigation console. We're entering the Kelzaran home system now, Commander, counting 27 orbital defense platforms, plus approximately 200 military vessels of various classes. Sensor coverage is at maximum density. Nicole Fraser studied her tactical display. Their defensive grid is impressive. Every cubic meter of space within 1 million kilometers is being actively scanned. Any normal ship would be detected immediately. But we're not a normal ship, Jake replied. How are our stealth systems holding up? The chief engineer, a calm man named Paul Griffin, answered from his station. All systems operating at peak efficiency, sir. Power consumption is well within acceptable ranges. We could maintain this level of stealth for another 72 hours if needed. Kevin Palmer moved closer to Jake's chair and spoke in a low voice. It's strange, isn't it? All this technology, all this firepower around us, and they have no idea we're here. Jake nodded. That's exactly the point. For too long, the major powers assumed they knew everything about human capabilities. They stopped paying attention. That was their mistake. On the planet below, the Galactic Council was beginning their annual summit. This was the largest gathering of the year, when all member species sent their highest-ranking officials to discuss the state of galactic affairs. Security was always tight during the summit, but this year, the Kelzarans had increased their forces even more. Recent pirate attacks in the outer territories had made everyone nervous. Ambassador Angela Diaz sat in the visitors' gallery, watching the proceedings. She had received word that the Phantom was now in system. Everything was going according to plan. She checked her communication device, waiting for the signal from Admiral Lisa Bennett. Back on Earth, in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Bennett stood before a wall of displays. She had gray hair pulled back in a tight bun and eyes that had seen 4 decades of military service. Around her, dozens of technicians monitored every aspect of the mission. Status of the Phantom? She asked. A young officer responded immediately. In position above Kelzara Prime, Admiral. No indication they've been detected. Commander Morrison reports ready to proceed on your order. Lisa took a moment to consider. This single action would change everything. Humanity had spent 15 years and countless resources building a fleet in secret. 17 ships now waited in hidden locations across human space. The Phantom was just the first to reveal itself. Once this demonstration was complete, there would be no going back. "Send the authorization," Lisa commanded. "Begin Operation Revelation." The message traveled through quantum communication channels, arriving at the Phantom instantly. Jake received it and stood from his chair. "All hands. This is the commander. We are commencing the operation. Everyone to your stations and prepare for decloak." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had rehearsed this moment countless times in simulation. Now it was real. "Mr. Torres, position us directly above the council building. Miss Fraser, I want targeting solutions for all military vessels within range, but weapons stay cold. We're here to make a statement, not start a war." "Understood, sir," Nicole replied. "Mr. Palmer, open a channel to Admiral Bennett. She'll want to address the council directly." The ship maneuvered into position 300 kilometers above the planet's surface. It hung there, invisible and silent, directly above the most important political gathering in the galaxy. On Earth, Admiral Bennett's face appeared on communication screens across the command center. "This is Admiral Lisa Bennett of Earth Defense Command, initiating broadcast to Galactic Council chambers." Inside the council building, every holographic display suddenly flickered and changed. The image of Admiral Bennett appeared, replacing the current speaker. Shocked silence fell across the chamber as hundreds of alien officials stared at the unexpected intrusion. High Archon Velkar rose from his seat, his face twisted with rage. "What is the meaning of this? How did you breach our security systems?" Lisa's expression remained calm and professional. "High Archon, members of the Galactic Council, I apologize for the interruption. However, humanity has an important message to deliver. For 200 years, you have dismissed us as primitive and insignificant. You have imposed unfair tariffs, denied us equal representation, and treated our people with contempt. Today, we demonstrate that your assessment of human capabilities has been incomplete." Velkar's claws gripped the edge of his desk. "You threaten the Council? Your entire fleet could not penetrate our defenses. This transmission is a meaningless gesture." "Is it?" Lisa asked. She looked directly into the camera. "Commander Morrison, please show the Council what's sitting above their heads." In orbit, Jake gave the order. "Deactivate stealth systems. Let them see us." The USS Phantom appeared. Every alarm in the Kelzaran defense network activated at once. Red warning lights flashed in control rooms across the planet. Military commanders shouted orders as their displays showed an unknown warship materializing out of nowhere, positioned directly above their capital city. In the council chamber, panic erupted. Representatives jumped from their seats. Guards rushed forward, though they had no idea what to do. Security officers screamed into communication devices, demanding explanations from defense forces. Angela Diaz remained seated, a small smile on her face. She had waited a long time for this moment. Captain Hayes of the Vorathian Defense Fleet was in his ready room when the alarm sounded. He ran to his bridge, where his crew was already scrambling to respond. "Report!" His tactical officer, an experienced warrior named Kelvor, pointed at the main display. "Unknown vessel has appeared in high orbit above the planet, Captain. It's positioned directly over the council building. All our sensors show it just materialized from nowhere." Hayes studied the image. The ship was unlike anything in his database. Its design was clean and purposeful, with no wasted space or decorative elements. It looked dangerous. "How did it get past our defenses?" "Unknown, sir. We have no record of it entering the system. It's as if it simply appeared." "That's impossible. Nothing can avoid our sensor grid." Hayes turned to his communications officer. "Get me command authority. I want permission to engage that vessel." On the Phantom's bridge, alerts showed multiple alien ships changing course toward their position. Jake watched calmly as over 50 military vessels began to surround them. "They're moving to intercept," Ryan reported. "Let them come," Jake said. "Open a channel to the lead vessel." Captain Hayes received the incoming transmission. A human face appeared on his screen, a man with calm eyes and a slight smile. "Captain Hayes, My name is Commander Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Ship Phantom. We mean no harm to you or your crew. We are here simply to deliver a message to the Council. Hayes felt his anger rise. You have violated Kelzeran space and threatened our leadership. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. The USS Phantom moved. Not like the slow, predictable patterns the alien vessels used, but with sudden acceleration and direction changes that defied what Captain Hayes thought was possible. His targeting officer struggled to maintain a weapons lock as the human ship darted through space. Fire, Hayes ordered. Energy beams lanced out from 12 Varathian warships simultaneously. Every shot missed. The Phantom twisted and rolled, avoiding each attack with what seemed like impossible precision. The human ship wasn't just fast, it moved like a living thing, anticipating where the shots would be and already moving elsewhere. On the Phantom's bridge, Marcus Chen controlled the flight systems with steady hands. He had trained as a fighter pilot before joining the stealth ship program. Those skills served him well now. Their firing patterns are too predictable, Commander. They telegraph their shots by 2 full seconds. Keep us moving, Jake ordered. Miss Fraser, are your targets locked? Nicole studied her console, where dozens of enemy ships appeared as red markers. Locked and confirmed, sir. Firing solutions calculated for all hostile vessels. Ready on your command. Jake watched the tactical display. More alien ships were closing in, forming a sphere around the Phantom's position. To any normal observer, it would look like the human ship was trapped, but Jake knew better. Engage targets, weapons free. The Phantom's weapons were different from standard galactic armaments. Instead of large, slow-moving energy cannons, human engineers had developed rapid-fire precision lasers. They fired faster, hit harder, and consumed less power than anything the aliens used. Blue energy pulses shot out from the Phantom. Each shot was carefully aimed at specific targets. The first Varathian ship lost its main weapons array in an instant. The second ship's engines went dark. A third vessel spun helplessly as its control systems were surgically disabled. Captain Hayes watched in horror as his fleet fell apart. What kind of weapons are those? Our shields should be stopping them. Kelvor checked his scanners frantically. Their weapons operate on a different frequency than we've ever encountered. Our shields aren't calibrated to block them. And their targeting accuracy is beyond anything I've seen. They're hitting weak points in our armor that we didn't know existed. Another 3 ships went dark. Then 5 more. The Phantom danced through space, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted. Its weapons fired with mechanical precision, disabling ship after ship without destroying them. In the council chamber below, the alien representatives watched the battle on their holographic displays. What they saw terrified them. One human ship was systematically dismantling a fleet that should have been able to destroy it easily. Ambassador Trelvik of the Dravine Supremacy stood frozen, staring at the display. The Dravine prided themselves on military superiority. They had the strongest warriors in the galaxy. Yet watching this engagement, he realized that brute strength meant nothing if you couldn't hit your target. "This is impossible," High Archon Velkar whispered. His blue scales had gone pale. No single ship should be able to do this. Angela Diaz remained calm in her seat. She had known this would be the alien leader's reaction. They had been so confident in their superiority for so long that they couldn't imagine a younger species surpassing them. Admiral Bennett's image reappeared on the displays. What you're witnessing, Council members, is one ship, our prototype. The Earth Defense Fleet currently has 17 operational vessels of this class. We have kept this program secret for 15 years, waiting for the right moment to reveal our capabilities. The words hit the Council like a physical blow. 17 ships. If one could do this much damage, what could 17 do? On the Phantom, the engagement continued. Captain Hayes tried a new tactic, ordering his ships to fire in coordinated volleys. It made no difference. The human ship predicted the attack pattern and was already moving before the weapons discharged. "Target their engines again," Jake ordered. "I want them disabled but intact. No hull breaches, no casualties." Nicole's fingers moved rapidly. Adjusting fire patterns. Engaging. More ships went dark. Hayes watched his command fall apart around him. In 7 minutes, 43 Varathian warships had been disabled. Not destroyed, not blown apart, but carefully and precisely neutralized. The human crew could have killed them all. Instead, they demonstrated perfect control and restraint. That restraint scared Hayes more than raw firepower would have. "Cease fire," Hayes said quietly. "All ships, stand down. Do not engage." Jake saw the alien fleet stop its attack. "Hold fire, Miss Fraser. Mr. Torres, bring us to a stable orbit. Maintain safe distance from all vessels." The Phantom stopped moving and hung in space, surrounded by dozens of disabled ships and many more that were still operational but no longer attacking. The message was clear. The human ship could have destroyed the entire fleet. It chose not to. Jake opened a channel to Captain Hayes. "Captain, we have no desire for further conflict. We came here to demonstrate our capabilities, not to wage war. Your crew fought bravely, and I respect that. But you need to understand that Earth is no longer the weak species you remember." Hayes stared at the human commander's face on his screen. Part of him wanted to continue fighting, to restore his honor. But the tactical officer in him knew the truth. They were outmatched. "What do you want?" "Nothing from you, Captain. Our message is for the Council." Jake switched his transmission to broadcast to the planet below. "Council members, I am Commander Jake Morrison. For 6 hours, the Phantom has been in your system, undetected by your defense grid. We passed through your patrol routes. We moved through your sensor networks. We positioned ourselves above your most important political gathering. We could have struck any target we chose." In the Council chamber, that reality sank in. The human ship could have attacked the Council building itself. It could have targeted power stations, communication hubs, military headquarters. The aliens had been completely vulnerable and never knew it. "We did not come here to attack," Jake continued. "We came here to correct a fundamental misunderstanding. You have treated humanity as insignificant because you believed we were technologically inferior. That belief is no longer accurate. Earth has capabilities you have not seen, and we will not accept unfair treatment any longer." Admiral Bennett's image replaced Jake's. "The Phantom will remain in orbit for the next 24 hours. During that time, we expect the Council to reconsider humanity's status. We are requesting immediate full membership, equal representation in Council votes, and fair tariff rates matching all other species. These are not threats. These are simply the terms of continued peaceful relations." High Archon Velkar looked around the chamber. Other Council members stared back at him, waiting for his response. He had led the Varathian hierarchy for 30 years. He had never backed down from a challenge, but he had also never faced a situation like this before. "The Council will need time to discuss this matter," Velkar said slowly. The emergency council session began 2 hours after the Phantom's demonstration. Every member species sent representatives, and for the first time in decades, no one was late. The mood in the chamber was tense. Fear hung in the air like smoke. High Archon Velkar called the meeting to order, though his usual commanding presence seemed diminished. "We are here to discuss the human situation. I invite comments from council members." The Kelzeran representative spoke first. His crystalline body reflected the chamber lights in sharp angles. "The humans have violated our space and threatened our security. We should consider this an act of war." "With what forces?" Ambassador Trelvik asked bluntly. The massive Dravine warrior leaned forward in his seat. "Did you not see the engagement? Their single ship disabled 43 Varathian vessels in 7 minutes. 7 minutes. And they did it without destroying a single one, which means they have even more capability they chose not to use." "The Dravine warrior speaks truth," added a representative from the Zin Confederation, a minor species that usually stayed silent. "I have reviewed the tactical data. The human ship moved in ways our vessels cannot match. Their weapons struck with precision our best gunners could not achieve. And most concerning, they were completely undetected until they chose to reveal themselves." Velkar's claws tapped against his desk. "We cannot simply surrender to human demands. The Council has maintained order for thousands of years. If we give in to threats, others will follow the human example." "This is not a threat," said another voice. Ambassador Angela Diaz had been granted speaking rights for this session. She stood calmly at the human delegation's position. Admiral Bennett was clear. These are terms for peaceful relations. You can accept them and humanity joins the galactic community as equals. Or you can refuse, and we proceed independently. Independently, Velkar repeated. What does that mean? Angela smiled slightly. It means we form our own alliance structure with species interested in fair treatment. We share our technology and resources with partners who treat us with respect. We continue developing our military capabilities. And we ignore council authority entirely. The chamber erupted in arguments. Representatives shouted over each other. Some demanded immediate action against humanity. Others urged caution. The minor species representatives looked at each other with new interest. An alternative to council authority was something many had dreamed about, but never dared pursue. On the Vorithian homeworld, military commanders gathered in their war room. Fleet Admiral Zeknar studied holographic projections of the Phantom's capabilities. His tactical team had spent hours analyzing every second of the engagement. Their reaction time is impossible, said one analyst. From the moment our ships fired until they began evasive maneuvers was 0.3 seconds. No known species has reflexes that fast. Unless they're not relying purely on reflexes, another analyst suggested. What if their computer systems are more advanced than ours? What if they have better predictive algorithms? Zeknar shook his head. I don't think it's just computers. Watch this section again. He replayed a segment where the Phantom executed a maneuver that avoided 3 different weapon strikes from 3 different directions simultaneously. That's not programming, that's instinct, combat experience. These humans are natural warriors, and they've built their technology to enhance those natural abilities. The room fell silent as everyone considered the implications. The Vorathians had always believed themselves to be the superior military power. That belief had just been shattered. How many of these ships do they have? Zeknar asked. According to their Admiral Bennett, 17 operational vessels, 30 more under construction. Zeknar did the calculations in his head. 17 ships like the Phantom could devastate fleets 10 times their size. 47 ships could challenge the combined forces of all 3 major empires. We need to develop countermeasures immediately. Find me their weaknesses. Sir, I'm not sure they have any. At least, none that we've observed so far. Back on Earth, President Christina Moore met with her advisors in the White House Situation Room. Large screens showed live feeds from Kelzara Prime and reports from intelligence sources across the galaxy. It's working, said General Nathan Cross. We're receiving communication requests from 24 different species. 17 of them are minor powers asking about defense treaties. They're terrified of the major empires and they see us as protection. Christina nodded. What about the big 3? Varathian, Kelzaran, Dravine? They're panicking. Our intelligence shows the Vorathians are desperately trying to reverse engineer our technology, though they don't have any of our ships to study. The Kelzarans are fortifying their borders. The Dravine are increasing military spending by 30%. Good, let them panic. For 2 centuries, they've used their military advantage to bully everyone else. Now they know how it feels. Admiral Lisa Bennett entered the room, tablet in hand. Madam President, we have a situation developing. The Zin Confederation has formally requested a meeting with our diplomats. They want to discuss an alliance. The Zin have always stayed neutral, Christina said thoughtfully. If they're approaching us, it means the balance of power is shifting faster than we anticipated. There's more. 3 other minor species have sent similar requests. They're using secure channels, trying to keep the major empires from knowing. Christina stood and walked to the window overlooking the city. This is exactly what we hoped for. We don't want to dominate the galaxy. We just want to break the stranglehold the major powers have held for so long. On Kelzara Prime, Ambassador Angela Diaz returned to her quarters after the chaotic council session. Her communication device was flooded with messages. Representatives from a dozen species wanted private meetings. Some offered support for humanity's demands. Others wanted to discuss joint ventures and technology sharing. A few even hinted at military alliances. She composed a message to Admiral Bennett. The demonstration exceeded expectations. Council members are divided. Major powers are frightened. Minor species are excited. Recommend we maintain pressure but avoid appearing aggressive. In orbit, The Phantom remained at its station. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck, watching the planet turn slowly below. Kevin Palmer joined him, carrying 2 coffee containers. "Strange, isn't it?" Kevin said, handing Jake one of the drinks. "1 week ago, we were a hidden project. Now, we're the most talked about military force in the galaxy." Jake sipped his coffee. "That was always the plan. Hide until we were ready, then reveal ourselves all at once. Give them no time to prepare, no chance to develop countermeasures gradually. Do you think the Council will accept our terms? They have no choice. The alternative is watching their authority crumble as every minor species rushes to ally with us instead. They'll accept, even if they hate it." On the planet below, the Emergency Council session continued into its 8th hour. Representatives were exhausted, but the debate raged on. Finally, High Archon Velkar called for order. "We must face reality," he said, his voice heavy with defeat. "The humans have demonstrated superior technology. They have the support of multiple minor species, and most importantly, they have the patience to simply wait us out. If we refuse their demands, they will build their own alliance system. Within a decade, the Council will be irrelevant." "So we surrender?" asked the Kelzaran representative. "We adapt," Velkar replied. "We grant the humans what they request: full membership, equal voting rights, fair tariffs. But we also negotiate terms that protect Council authority. We bring humanity into the existing structure rather than forcing them to build something new." Ambassador Trelvik nodded slowly. "It is the wise choice, though it tastes bitter. The Dravine will support this measure." One by one, the major powers agreed. The vote was called. The humans would receive everything they requested. 3 weeks after the Phantom's demonstration, the Galactic Council reconvened for the formal restructuring vote. The chamber looked the same as it always had, with its crystal towers and holographic displays. But everything had changed. The representatives who entered the room knew they were witnessing the end of one era and the beginning of another. Ambassador Angela Diaz walked to the center podium. For 200 years, humans had spoken from the back rows, their voices barely acknowledged. Today, she stood at the heart of the council as an equal member. The weight of that moment was not lost on her. "Honored members," she began. "Earth thanks the council for its willingness to adapt. We understand that change is difficult, especially when it challenges systems that have existed for millennia. But we believe these changes will create a stronger, fairer galactic community." She activated a holographic display showing her proposal. "We propose a complete restructuring of the council voting system. Every member species, regardless of size or military power, receives equal representation. Major decisions require a 2/3 majority vote. The tribute system, which has enriched core worlds at the expense of outer territories, will be abolished and replaced with voluntary trade agreements." High Archon Velkar watched from his seat. His expression was carefully neutral, but inside he felt the sting of defeat. For 30 years, he had led the Vorathian hierarchy with absolute confidence. Now he was forced to accept terms from a species he had dismissed as primitive. "The Vorathian hierarchy recognizes the merit in these proposals," he said formally. "We vote in favor." One by one, the major powers cast their votes. The Kelzaran Collective voted yes. The Dravine Supremacy voted yes. They had no choice. The alternative was watching their influence disappear entirely. But the real surprise came from the minor species. 41 representatives stood and voted yes with enthusiasm. Species that had been marginalized for centuries finally saw hope for equal treatment. The vote passed with overwhelming support. "The motion carries," Velkar announced. "The Galactic Council is hereby restructured under the new charter. All member species now have equal voting rights. The tribute system is dissolved. A new era begins today." The chamber erupted in applause from the minor species representatives. The major powers sat quietly, accepting their reduced status with whatever dignity they could maintain. On Earth, Admiral Lisa Bennett watched the broadcast with satisfaction. Around her in the command center, officers and technicians celebrated. General Nathan Cross approached with a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses. "We did it, Lisa. After 2 centuries of being pushed around, humanity finally has a seat at the table. Lisa accepted a glass but remained thoughtful. This is just the beginning, Nathan. The major powers won't accept this situation forever. Give them time. And they'll start testing boundaries, looking for weaknesses. Then we'll be ready. The Phantom is already back at shipyard for upgrades. The other 16 ships are operational and deployed, and the next batch of 30 should be finished within 2 years. Good. But it's not just about military power anymore. We need to follow through on our promises. Technology sharing with our new allies, fair trade agreements, defense pacts with species that have been bullied by the major empires. We need to prove we're different from the old powers. President Christina Moore entered the command center, surrounded by security staff. She had just finished a press conference announcing the Council's decision to the people of Earth. The reaction had been overwhelming joy. Admiral Bennett, on behalf of a grateful planet, thank you. You and your team have achieved what diplomats couldn't accomplish in 2 centuries. Lisa stood and saluted. Just doing our job, Madam President. Though I'll admit, it felt good to see those alien leaders squirm. Christina smiled. I imagine it did. But now comes the harder part. We need to maintain this advantage without becoming the bullies ourselves. Power corrupts, and we need to make sure we don't repeat the mistakes of the empires we just challenged. On the Vorathian homeworld, Fleet Admiral Zeknar met with his research team in a secured facility. For 3 weeks, they had been working non-stop to develop countermeasures against human stealth technology. Progress was slow. We've made some advances, reported the lead scientist. We believe we can detect human ships if they come within 10,000 kilometers. Beyond that range, they remain invisible to our sensors. 10,000 kilometers is nothing in space combat, Zeknar said. By the time they're that close, they could already be firing on us. We need better detection range. It may not be possible, Admiral. Human stealth technology appears to be fundamentally different from anything we've encountered. They're not just blocking sensors. They're actively bending detection fields around their ships. Our current sensor technology can't counter that. Zeknar slammed his fist on the table. Then develop new sensor technology. We cannot remain at this disadvantage forever. The Vorathian hierarchy has ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years. We will not be made irrelevant by upstart humans. But even as he said the words, Zeknar knew the truth. The balance of power had shifted. The age of Vorathian dominance was over. Across the galaxy, minor species were celebrating. On the planet Zin, traditionally a neutral world that avoided galactic politics, crowds gathered in the streets. The news that the tribute system had been abolished meant their people would no longer send half their resources to the core worlds. Ambassador Kryn of the Zin Confederation sent a message to Earth. We wish to formally request a meeting to discuss alliance terms. The Zin people are grateful for humanity's courage in challenging the old order. Similar messages arrived from 16 other species. The Talvan Federation wanted technology-sharing agreements. The Morvac Commonwealth requested defense treaties. The Hylon Unity asked for help developing their industrial base. Angela Diaz reviewed the requests in her office on Kelzara Prime. Her assistant, a young diplomat named Carl Foster, helped sort through the proposals. We're going to need more diplomats, Carl said. We have requests from 18 species for various types of agreements. Our current staff can't handle this volume. Send a request to Earth for additional personnel, Angela replied, and start prioritizing. Species that have been most oppressed by the old system should get first consideration. We also want to focus on those with strategic importance or valuable resources. What about the major powers? Do we maintain diplomatic relations with them? Of course. We're not trying to destroy them, just level the playing field. Keep channels open with Vorathian, Kelzaran, and Dravine representatives. They may resent us now, but eventually, they'll realize this new system benefits everyone. On the USS Phantom, Commander Jake Morrison prepared his ship for the journey home. The crew was exhausted but proud. They had executed a perfect mission, and the results had exceeded all expectations. Nicole Fraser approached him on the bridge. Commander, I've been thinking about what comes next. We revealed our stealth capability. Won't the aliens start developing countermeasures? They'll try, Jake replied. But by the time they develop something effective, We'll be 3 generations ahead. The engineers back home aren't sitting still. They're already working on improvements to our technology. Marcus Chen spun his chair around from the pilot station. I heard rumors we're developing fighter-scale stealth craft. Imagine a whole squadron of invisible fighters attacking a target. That's classified information, Mr. Chen, Jake said with a slight smile. But hypothetically, such a development would give us even more tactical options. The Phantom's engines hummed to life. The ship pulled away from Kelzara Prime and set course for Earth. Behind them, they left a galaxy forever changed. High Archon Velkar stood in his private chambers, staring out at the Vorathian capital city. His chief advisor, an old friend named Tolvex, entered quietly. The military is requesting increased funding to develop new weapons systems, Tolvex said. They believe they can counter human technology given enough time and resources. Velkar turned from the window. They're wasting their time. Even if we match their current capabilities, the humans will have moved on to something new. We made a critical mistake. Tolvex. 6 months after the restructuring of the Galactic Council, the changes were visible across the galaxy. Trade routes that had been controlled by the major empires for centuries were now open to all species. Tariffs had dropped to reasonable levels. Minor species that had struggled under tribute payments were experiencing economic growth for the first time in generations. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Phantom as it patrolled the border regions between human space and the former Vorathian territories. The ship was on its 5th mission since returning from Kelzara Prime. Each mission had been peaceful, but the Phantom's presence served as a constant reminder of humanity's capabilities. Incoming transmission from Earth Command, reported Communications Officer Lieutenant Amy Rogers. She had joined the crew 2 months ago, replacing an officer who had been promoted to command his own stealth ship. Admiral Lisa Bennett's face appeared on the main view screen. Commander Morrison, we're assigning you a new mission. The Hylon Unity has reported Dravine military ships entering their territory without permission. They're requesting assistance. Jake nodded. Understood, Admiral. The Dravine testing boundaries again? It appears so. They've been probing various minor species defenses for the past month. Nothing aggressive enough to be called an invasion, but clear violations of the new Council agreements. We need to remind them that the rules apply to everyone. We'll take care of it. Phantom out. Jake turned to his crew. Mr. Torres, set course for Hylon space. Maximum stealth, standard speed. Mr. Palmer, contact the other ships in our patrol group. I want the Spectre and the Wraith to join us. Kevin Palmer sent the coded messages. Within minutes, responses came back. 2 more stealth ships acknowledged the orders and adjusted their courses. The Phantom would not be going alone. On the Dravine homeworld, Military Commander Brechtal received reports of the situation in Hylon space. His ships had been ordered to conduct reconnaissance missions near Hylon borders, testing whether the minor species would actually request human intervention. Have the humans responded? He asked his intelligence officer. No detection of human vessels yet, Commander. However, given their stealth capabilities, they could already be in the area. Brechtal growled in frustration. That was the problem with human stealth technology. You never knew if they were watching until they wanted you to know. The Dravine had spent months trying to develop detection systems with limited success. Maintain current operations. If the humans appear, our ships are to withdraw immediately. We're testing their response time, not looking for a confrontation. 3 days later, the USS Phantom, along with the Spectre and Wraith, arrived in Hylon space. The 3 human ships took up positions around the Dravine vessels, maintaining stealth. They watched and waited, gathering intelligence on Dravine movements and intentions. On the 4th day, a Dravine cruiser crossed into Hylon territory and approached a mining station. The station sent out distress signals. Hylon defense ships scrambled to respond, but they were outmatched by the larger Dravine vessel. That's enough, Jake said. Decloak and hail the Dravine ship. The 3 human vessels appeared simultaneously, surrounding the Dravine cruiser. The sight of 3 stealth ships materializing from nowhere caused immediate panic on the Dravine bridge. Jake opened communications. Dravine vessel, this is Commander Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are in violation of Hylon territorial space. Withdraw immediately. The Dravine captain appeared on screen. His massive frame filled the display, and his expression was angry but also fearful. Human, you have no authority here. This is a matter between the Dravine supremacy and the Hylon unity. Actually, we have a defense agreement with the Hylon government. You're violating their space, which means you're violating our agreement. Leave now, or we'll escort you out. The Dravine captain wanted to refuse. Pride demanded it. But he had seen the reports from Kelzara Prime. He knew what human ships could do. We are withdrawing. But tell your council that the Dravine do not forget this insult. Tell your leaders that all species now have equal rights under council law. The days of strong species bullying weak ones are over. The Dravine ships turned and departed Hylon space. The crisis was over without a single shot fired. Jake ordered the 3 human ships to remain in the area for another week, ensuring the Dravine didn't return. The Hylon Unity government sent a formal message of thanks to Earth. Similar messages had been arriving regularly from minor species across the galaxy. Humanity was becoming known as a protector of the weak, a role the major empires had never filled. On Earth, President Christina Moore met with her cabinet to discuss the changing galactic situation. Secretary of State Karen Mitchell presented her report. We now have formal defense treaties with 23 species, trade agreements with 41, and technology sharing programs with 15. Human influence in the galaxy has grown exponentially in just 6 months. What's the status of the major empires? Christina asked. Frustrated but adapting. The Vorathians are focusing on economic power since their military dominance is challenged. The Kelzarans are trying to position themselves as mediators between human interests and traditional galactic structures. The Dravine are the most resistant to change, as we just saw with the Hylon incident. General Nathan Cross added his assessment. Militarily, we maintain significant advantage. The stealth ship program is ahead of schedule. We now have 21 operational vessels, with the next group of 15 completing trials. But I'm concerned about complacency. Explain, Christina said. We achieved our current advantage because we innovated while others stagnated. We need to ensure we don't make the same mistake the empires made. We need to keep developing new technology, new tactics, new strategies. The moment we think we're unbeatable is the moment we start losing our edge. Admiral Bennett, attending the meeting via video link, nodded in agreement. The general is correct. I've already authorized 3 new research programs: advanced propulsion systems, improved weapons technology, and enhanced detection systems. We need to stay ahead. Ambassador Angela Diaz, recently returned from Kelzara Prime, offered her perspective. The political situation is stabilizing, but we need to be careful. Some minor species are starting to see us as the new dominant power. We wanted to break empire control, not replace it with human control. Good point, Christina said. How do we address that? By being transparent, by keeping our promises, by helping species develop their own capabilities instead of making them dependent on us, and by accepting council oversight when appropriate. We need to prove we're different from the old empires. Across the galaxy, the effects of humanity's emergence continued to ripple outward. Species that had been enemies for centuries found common ground in the new council structure. Trade flourished. Innovation increased. The removal of the tribute system freed up resources that minor species could invest in their own development. But not everyone was happy. In the core worlds, populations that had grown wealthy from tribute payments faced economic adjustments. Some blamed humanity for their reduced circumstances. Protests erupted on several Vorathian worlds. The Dravine military faction called for renewed expansion. The Kelzaran elite schemed to regain lost influence through economic manipulation. High Archon Velkar watched these developments with concern. He met privately with representatives from the Kelzaran and Dravine governments. The meeting was unofficial and off the record. The humans have outmaneuvered us politically and militarily, Velkar said. But there are other forms of power: economic power, cultural influence, long-term strategic positioning. We cannot defeat them directly, but we can work to ensure the new galactic order develops in ways that preserve our interests. The Kelzaran representative agreed. We have resources the humans need. Rare elements, advanced manufacturing capabilities, strategic locations. We can negotiate from positions of strength in these areas. And we have experience, added the Dravine ambassador. We've been navigating galactic politics for thousands of years. The humans are newcomers. They'll make mistakes, and when they do, we'll be ready to exploit those mistakes. But these plans assumed human leaders would repeat the errors of the past. What the old empires failed to understand was that humanity had studied their history carefully. Earth's leaders knew the patterns of empire rise and fall. They were determined to avoid those patterns. Back on the USS Phantom, Commander Jake Morrison completed his mission report. The ship was heading back to Earth for scheduled maintenance and crew rotation. In his private quarters, he reflected on the past 6 months. They had prevented 4 conflicts, assisted 6 species with defense infrastructure, and demonstrated human capabilities on numerous occasions. Each mission reinforced the new galactic order. Each successful intervention made it harder for the old empires to challenge human authority. Lieutenant Nicole Fraser knocked on his door. "Commander, we're receiving multiple contacts. Looks like a convoy under attack by pirates in Sector 7. Jake stood immediately. "Pirates?" "Yes, sir. A merchant convoy from the Zin Confederation. They're outgunned and requesting assistance." This was exactly the kind of situation humanity had promised to address. Pirates had flourished under the old system because the major empires only protected their own ships. Minor species vessels were left vulnerable. Battle stations. "Mr. Chen, best speed to the convoy location. Maintain stealth until we're in position." The Phantom raced through space. When they arrived, they found 5 pirate ships attacking a convoy of 8 merchant vessels. The pirates were well armed, using decommissioned military equipment. Jake made his decision quickly. "Decloak, full weapons. Disable the pirate vessels." The Phantom appeared among the pirate ships like an avenging ghost. Before the pirates could react, their weapon systems went dark. Their engines failed. Within 90 seconds, all 5 ships were disabled and drifting. The convoy captain sent a message of gratitude. "Unknown vessel, you have saved our cargo and our lives. How can we thank you?" "No thanks necessary," Jake replied. "Just doing our job. Tell your government that Earth Defense Fleet is here to help. Safe travels." As the Phantom departed, Jake thought about the bigger picture. Every pirate gang eliminated made space safer for everyone. Every minor species that traded freely became more prosperous. Every time humanity kept its promises, the new galactic order grew stronger. The old empires had ruled through fear and military dominance. Humanity was building something different, a system based on cooperation and mutual benefit. It wouldn't be perfect. There would be setbacks and challenges. But it was better than what had come before. Commander Jake Morrison settled back into his chair and watched the stars stream past. The USS Phantom and her sister ships would continue their patrols. They would enforce the new council laws. They would protect species that couldn't protect themselves. And they would ensure that humanity's message remained clear throughout the galaxy. The age of empire domination was over. The age of equality had begun. And humanity stood as guardian of that new age, silent and watchful, ready to act when needed. The galaxy would never again make the mistake of underestimating them. We stopped innovating because we believed we were already superior. We became complacent. What do you suggest? We adapt. We acknowledge that the galaxy has changed. We work within the new system and find ways to maintain our influence through diplomacy rather than military dominance. It's not what I wanted, but it's the reality we face. As news of the restructuring spread across the galaxy, reactions varied. In the outer territories, there was celebration. In the core worlds, there was anger and resentment. But everyone recognized the truth. Humanity had changed everything. The age of empire domination was over, and the age of equality had begun. Angela Diaz received the news with satisfaction but not surprise. She sent a simple message to the Phantom. Mission accomplished. Stand down from alert status. Prepare for formal diplomatic reception. Jake Morrison read the message and smiled. Well done, everyone. Mr. Torres, maintain current orbit. Miss Fraser, weapons to standby mode. We'll stay here until the formal agreements are signed, then head home. The crew cheered. They had changed history. Humanity would never again be dismissed as insignificant. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. The quiet species in the corner might be building something remarkable, and you'd never know until they chose to reveal themselves. High above Kelzara Prime, the Phantom waited silently, a guardian ensuring that humanity's message remained clear. The age of empire domination was ending, and a new era was beginning. "You have 24 hours, Admiral Bennett replied. "After that, the Phantom will depart. But make no mistake, we will be watching. Earth's patience has limits." The transmission ended. In orbit, the Phantom maintained its position, a silent reminder of humanity's new power. On the planet below, the council chamber erupted in arguments and frantic discussions. Angela Diaz stood and walked calmly toward the exit. Several alien officials tried to stop her, demanding explanations and answers. She ignored them all. Her job was done. Now it was up to the politicians to accept the new reality. Outside the building, she looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, hidden among the stars, the Phantom waited. Humanity had finally proven it deserved respect. The galaxy would never be the same. Jake's expression didn't change. "Captain, I strongly advise against hostile action. You are not prepared for what this ship can do." "I have 50 ships surrounding you," Hayes snarled. "You're one vessel against my entire fleet. You will stand down now." Jake sighed and looked at Kevin Palmer. His executive officer simply shrugged. "Your call, Commander." "Very well. Mr. Torres, execute evasive pattern Delta." "Miss Fraser, disable their weapons only. No casualties." "With pleasure, sir," Nicole said, her fingers moving across her weapons console. The demonstration was about to begin. "Steady as she goes," Jake ordered. "Maintain current course and speed." The Phantom glided silently past the alien patrol ships. The Varathians continued their routine scans, completely unaware that a human warship was passing within 10 kilometers of their position. On the Phantom's bridge, several crew members let out quiet sighs of relief. "First obstacle cleared," Ryan reported. "Next checkpoint in 4 hours." Jake nodded. "Well done, everyone. Stay sharp. We have a long journey ahead, and we can't afford any mistakes." The mission had begun. In less than a day, the Phantom would arrive at Kelzara Prime. The galactic powers would learn that humanity was not as weak as they believed. The age of underestimation was about to end, and the galaxy would never be the same again.